Hey, welcome to Wine Moron Studios, also known as my kitchen. As I'm recording this, it is July 3rd, 2020, and there has been a lot of commercials for Hamilton coming out on Disney Plus. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Hamilton, especially one particular song, in that Aaron Burr sings that he wants to be in the room where it happens. And he's talking about a dinner that really did happen between Jefferson and Madison and Alexander Hamilton. And at that dinner, three politicians sat down and worked out a compromise that, frankly, changed the course of American history. It was because of that dinner that the United States Capitol was built at the Potomac River in the South. It was also because of that dinner that Alexander Hamilton's plan for getting the country's finances on track was able to get through Congress. Those compromises happened because three guys sat down and ate dinner and worked out those compromises. Now, they were probably already pretty close to compromising in the first place. Now, what does this have to do with Wine Moron? Well, for one, I'm a big fan of history. And for two, they drank a lot that night. Okay. 5 different wines and then dessert after that. So I actually, the information that I'm sharing with you, I got from this book, and this book is called Dinner at Mr. Jefferson's by Charles A. Cerami, and if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, I apologize. 3 Men, 5 Great Wines, and the Evening That Changed America. So I took some notes, and because there's no way I could remember all that they ate and all that they drank. Now, you might notice I've got this cute little wine glass here, and the reason for the cute little wine glass instead of the usual one that I'm chugging out of is they drank out of smaller glasses back then. It surprised me too. But they definitely drank a lot. A lot of alcohol consumed. Anyway, the dinner took place on June 20th in 1790. And it was only 3 guys. Hamilton and Madison showed up about the same time to Jefferson's place. They were in New York City. The capital of the United States was in New York City, and so they were there. And as soon as they arrived, a little small talk, and they had a white wine. Jefferson was the one who set up all of the choices for dinner and the choices for the wine, the pairing, and everything. So they started off with a white wine. Jefferson said it was a light pressing from the hills of a village near Towns. Now, Jefferson was definitely fond of the French, and he was very fond of French wines. Had lots of French wines shipped to his house after he had served as the ambassador for the United States to France. So they sit down to dinner. They have salad, which is certainly something that I would not have. I guess it's a good thing that wouldn't have been invited to the dinner anyway, but I wouldn't have gone because most of the menu I wouldn't have eaten. I'm really, really finicky. Finicky, that's the word. Picky is another one. A pain to cook for is another. Anyway, the salad. With the salad, they had a French white, 1786 Bordeaux from the canton of Grave in Carbonneau. Now, when I went to the liquor store, I was looking for a white Bordeaux, and I couldn't find one. So that's why right now I'm having a red Bordeaux to go with this Wine Moron video. For the first course of dinner, they had a capon stuffed with Virginia ham, with a chestnut puree, artichoke bottoms, which aren't really, I would not have had, but anyway. Truffles with a bit of cream, and white wine and chicken stock was added in. Now, with the richness of that food, Jefferson thought that the French wines might have been overpowered by that, so he picked a Montepulciano from Tuscany. Maybe that's what I should have grabbed at the liquor store instead. No, this Bordeaux is very nice. Very, very smooth, easy drinking. I like it. I mean, that's the reason why Jefferson was a fan of French wines, which is funny. It's actually, I think, the first French wine I've ever had. Anyway, the second course of dinner was the beef à la mode, a kind of a beef stew. And Jefferson was kind of famous for serving this beef stew. And with it, he served a Chambertin, a French red wine. After two courses and salad, then it's time for little snack kind of things. They had some small delicacies, some meringues, some macaroons, some bell fritters, other small treats, and then the dessert. Oh my gosh. Now, for dessert, they had vanilla ice cream. We're talking it's 1790 and they're having ice cream. And it's June. Ice cream. 17. Before freezers. Before refrigerators. Here's the best part of it. The ice cream was enclosed in this warm pastry. Almost like a cream puff. It seemed as if the ice cream came right out of the oven, and yet it was still ice cream inside of that. It was a marvel of the culinary arts. And with that, they had a slightly cloudy white wine. Jefferson assured him it was champagne, but it was champagne d'Amasu, champagne without bubbles. And then finally, after all of that, they got down to talking about the compromise, and they worked that out. And after all of that, the discussion, they worked out, okay, we want the capital of the United Virginians. Madison and Jefferson wanted the capital of the United States moved closer to Virginia, and wound up somewhere along the Potomac was the idea. But in order to get that to happen, they needed the I guess you could say approval of Philadelphia, of the Pennsylvanians, and so they decided that for 10 years the capital of the United States would be in Philadelphia. So, 10 years, capital's in Philadelphia, and 1800 they'll move to a yet-to-be-determined location, which wound up becoming Washington, D.C. Now, the interesting thing about that, these three men at dinner worked all of this out. Washington wasn't there. The President of the United States took no part, really, in this compromise, other than wanting a compromise to happen. So, Washington wasn't part of the compromise. It was worked out between those three guys, Hamilton and Madison and Jefferson. And pretty neat. And man, did they drink a lot. Now, one other bit about drinking a lot. Through that whole dinner, Jefferson drank half as much as the other guys. He begged off and said that he was suffering from a headache, from a migraine. And whenever he was suffering from a migraine, he drank less. He didn't not drink. He just had about a half a glass instead of the full glass or full glasses of wine. So I thought it would be very good to share a little bit of history and a little bit of wine and have fun.